This is the Deaf Blind Potter Show, and my name is Calvin Crosby, and I am the Deaf Blind Potter. And if you're here to live beyond your challenges, you're at the right spot. So let's go on this journey and live beyond our challenges. Hey, so good to see you, even though I can't see you. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm so excited that you are here at the Deaf Blind Potter Show. And I got quite the show for you today. And I tell you, we got my coach here today, and we're gonna be learning about her homesteading challenges and how she had gone through California, and we all know California got its issues, and now she lives in Georgia, and I think what's going to be amazing is, and about today's, what we're going to learn is how she really has taken homesteading to a very different perspective than what we all been. She's been doing it for a long time as well. Well, Mona, welcome to the Deaf Blind Potter Show.
Thank you, Calvin. I am so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here, and you already interviewed me about my crazy idea of being the deaf blind homesteader. And if you want to watch that interview and the crazy conversation that Mona and I had, I'm just gonna let you know it gets a little wild, and the link will be in the description, and so you'll be able to catch it out. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're going to the deafblindpottershow.com. It's also there as well. So Mona, what I want to do, whenever I say your name, have you heard the song "Oh Mona"? Huckleberry fan. Have you ever
I'm
heard?
not sure I've heard that one.
Oh, okay, my grandpa sang that song for so many years, and we when he passed away last year, it was one of those we were all grandkids. We were all singing these songs, and when I first learned about you, I was like, "Oh Mona, Huckleberry fan. Oh Mona, I was like, I can't get it out of my
That's hilarious.
head.
I have not heard that one. I'll have to go look that up.
Yeah. It's a really old, like back in like 1800 song. But anyway,
Mhm.
let's actually do today's show. And so Mona, what I want to do is kind of, did you grow up in homesteading world, or is this something that you just felt led to come into when you started having a family?
No, I did not grow up. I grew up in a city. Actually, my uh, first uh, portion of my life, part of my life, I was in Berkeley, California, and so I grew up in a city, but it was small enough to where there was good neighborhoods and kind of a hometowny feel there. But I spent hours and hours dreaming about owning my own horses, my own animals. So although I did not start my journey, knowing all these things or being in the homesteading space, I dreamed about being a farm girl all my life, pretty much.
Well, I mean, growing up in Berkeley, California. I mean, that is tree hugging country. So, I mean, honestly, yeah, it is city, but
Yeah.
I don't know
Well,
if you're from.
I'm 50, so that's not, so back then it might not have been that. Um, I I don't so that was only part of I actually moved around a lot. So a big
Okay.
portion of my childhood was in Berkeley, but I also lived in Germany and I also lived in Southern California as well. So I kind of moved around a lot. So I don't know I never know how to answer where I grew up.
Well, did you was your father in the military or your mom?
No, neither of them were. My dad just decided one day he wanted to move to Germany, and I'm sure there was like more reason than he decided, but he had a job opportunity there. So my sister and I ended up moving there, and we were put into German schools, so I actually had to learn German.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I know no German, so I'm not gonna do any trying to German anything.
Okay.
Like, do you
Well, I've
remember any?
forgotten. I do. I actually remember some of it. I was a child, so I spoke fluently child German. I
Okay.
didn't speak fluent adult German, and but it only took a couple years, and I really lost it. But last, I've started picking it up again. I started using this app called Duolingo, and I've been practicing my German, and it's coming back. So I'm excited about that because my dad has since passed away, and so I
Okay.
don't really have that connection to Germany anymore like I used to.
I mean, I mean, so you just said your age, and that's dangerous when you do that to the
I
public, you
know.
know.
I know. Yeah. Well,
So
I think aging is actually beautiful. I I got to the point where, like, in my life where, I realized, wisdom was more attractive to me than beauty and youth, you know? So I just started to look at it differently. So,
so gray hair is more accepted in your world than non-gray hair.
yeah, yeah. The gray hair, it came with a lot of, story, basically. I got to get there.
Yeah. So let's get into your home story journey then, because
Mhm,
so this has never been. You always wanted to be the farm girl. So let me paint my image of you.
mhm.
Pink hat with a little star on the front, and cowboy boots with your skirt, and plaid button up shirt, and being like, "Howdy, y'all! It's so good to see y'all." Am
I
I
don't know
correct?
that. No, not really. I don't remember. I was just basically a wild child. My I just, kind of like playing in the dirt, dirt in my fingernails, dirt on my hands, not really caring about, I was more of a tomboy. So, yeah, that's more me. I didn't have any caps on. I didn't have any cowboy hats or anything like that. I was more of just like a wild child.
Well, when you say wild child, I don't think that you were that wild. You were just more on the tomboy side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Could be.
I mean, we can if we want to go down the testimony story, we could have that conversation. But we're gonna get into Mona's not testimony, but Mona's story of her homesteading journey and some challenges. Stay tuned. We'll see you on the other side. Hey, it's Kelvin here, and I want to tell you about my podcast, the Perseverance Podcast, where you as an individual can hear individuals persevere through their challenges that they have faced in their life. For example, the most famous Chippendale stripper and the number one porn star in the world literally transformed his life and now is rescuing people from this industry and helping them find purpose in their life. Also, Casey Marsh, where she had a baby born without a brain and how she went through that grieving process. And lastly, one that's really fascinating is about Spencer Renfro, where he died and came back to life after driving 140 miles an hour. But when he died, he didn't come back alive the same. So you gotta go check out the Perseverance Podcast at perseverancepodcast.com and hear these stories and how people persevered through their challenges. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges and go to perseverancepodcast.com. Hey, it's Calvin here, the Deaf Blind Potter. And you're probably wondering where is the pottery piece at the moment. I put some wet, I didn't put very wet clay on the wheel today. It's pretty dry. And I tell you, I haven't thrown some clay in a little bit. Like this much clay. This is probably about 8 pounds of clay. So Today we're making a pot, but it hasn't gotten anywhere close to that yet. So today I got Mona on the line here, and she is my homesteading coach. Because what are we doing this month? We're talking about homesteading challenges. Why? Because I'm truly thinking about becoming a homesteader, and no better than why don't I interview people who are in the homesteading community and doing this lifestyle and see it just as something I can live beyond myself and see what their challenges and how they live beyond the homesteading challenges. So we're gonna dive into Mona's story and how she got into homesteading. So Mona, kind of tell us that story and how you got into homesteading.
Yeah, so like I said before, I dreamed about this lifestyle my entire life. I met my husband at uh, age 17. I think I met him, and then we got married at age 18.
Okay.
He was older than me, but
We
he
won't we
had
won't tell. We won't tell.
yeah. He had the life that I dreamed of as a child. So he grew up with that homesteading life. Only his parents were like grew up in the Depression era, so they this was life for them. Like they just did this all of their life. They always had grew their own garden and raised animals, and they just had that lifestyle. So so that kind of was one thing that drew me to him was this way of his upbringing. But together we just decided, after we got married, that that was our goal. So it took about 9 years for us. We were married for 9 years before we actually had property. So we were just living. I didn't even do anything. I didn't even have a garden when I could have had a garden um, early on in our marriage, but I just didn't think about it until after we moved to our property. So we were on 2.25 acres in a little town called Tehachapi, California. And that's where we started our journey. And I basically just really wanted the horses because that was my childhood dream. I wanted horses all my life. And but as our kids got older, I could see I really wanted them to have healthier food and healthier, options, just a healthier life. So the property was there for them to like run around and do their thing, but also I wanted to be able to grow my own food for them. So then we started adding the animals. And I actually didn't know I was homesteading for like a couple years of my homesteading journey.
See,
I
this
just
is the
thought I was
part
being
of
the farm girl.
this is the part of the story that I find hilarious because you're just being like you're calling yourself a farmer and you have your wheat. See, I keep drawing you with some wheatgrass in your mouth. And,
Okay,
I
that could have been a thing. I could have had the grass because where we were on this property, we had barley growing, and it was like 5 foot barley, and it was because the area there used to be a barley uh, farm, I guess. So there's barley growing. So yeah, that picture you have in your mind, yeah, that could have happened.
I mean, I have to entertain my brain. I can't see, so I might as well be entertained somehow, you
Yeah, no kidding.
know.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, so you're doing this and you're finding so you're learning all this on your own. Did your husband really give you any skills or did you kind of learn it all on your own?
Well, I learned a lot of things from my mother-in-law because like I said before, she was raised in the Depression era, so she had a lot of skills like canning and crocheting, and she taught me a lot of things and gardening. She was great at gardening. So was my father-in-law as well. But so I learned some things from him, and my father-in-law was really good at woodworking, so he taught his son really well, and he did, my husband does all of the woodworking things, anything that's built pretty much on our property, he builds it. But I had to learn, other than those things, I had to learn myself, like the raising of the animals. Though I did, when I was in high school, I knew this lifestyle was going to be my lifestyle, and I was in an organization called Future Farmers of America. I don't know
Yep.
if you've heard of that. Yeah. So I was only in that for like a semester, but I had an ag class that I took and I loved learning, and so my ag teacher taught me a lot about raising animals. And so I decided, I was a city girl, and I didn't have any of the real knowledge to be a farm girl,
Hmm.
but I didn't let that stop me. So that's one thing I feel like it was a challenge for me, was that I didn't have the background, but I didn't let that stop me from pursuing my dreams.
So as you are moving into this, so you're learning it. See, but you got to make a living for your family. So how did you guys kind of do that in the early days?
Yeah, so we're not like 100% homesteading, making money off the homestead to support us or anything. My husband has always had a full-time job and supported us that way. But I always did throughout my entire motherhood journey, or my being a mother, I had always had some kind of entrepreneurial thing going on. My dad was an entrepreneur, so I have a very strong entrepreneurial gene.
Okay.
um, so I just would do different things. I did once I did start, uh, having extra produce and extra eggs. I did start selling those things, and just kept on that just so that I could always make some money to at least offset some of the costs of the homestead, and to just bring in some extra money. Um, as I've been homesteading for 21 years, or more than 21 years now. Um, I've gotten better at generating the income. So I use different, you know, I have this three category approach to income generation, and that's on homestead, off homestead, and online income.
Hmm.
So I teach this to people because it's really important, as from a preparedness mindset, to have that, because we know what happened in 2020 when everything shut
Yep.
down on the outside and everybody was going online. Well, if you've already established yourself online, something like that won't hurt you financially as much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, the other thing that I was wondering is, cause like for me, I just really trying to really understand, like, all right, from the homesteading standpoint, like you got to be able to make some money, and that thing for me is like, I know when we did our interview, you're like, well, you got pottery in your wheelhouse, but you could also have chickens and sell eggs, and you can do or other things like that, or have a garden and be able to sell your vegetables and so forth like that. And but as you but you kind of gone beyond just that in your homesteading journey as an entrepreneur. Like you taking your what you learned and you kind of built this whole kind of program to help people learn what are you getting into and how to go through that process. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about kind of what kind of drew you into that and becoming a homesteading coach?
Yeah, so I got I took a big break off of social media, uh, for several years. I wasn't really posting on there, but I've been on like Instagram. I've been on since pretty much since it started, and there was a homesteading community on there back then. But we were all kind of learning from each other, and there really wasn't some people paving the way so much as there is now. You know what I mean? Like there weren't
Hmm.
that many people ahead of us, because homesteading was just becoming a more popular thing. And but then I just got busy with life, took a huge
Yep.
break. I used to have a website called healthyhomesteading.com, which was a blog really. And I was journaling on that blog. It's not a blog now. It is a website. It is a blog, but it's a website blog now.
Yeah.
So I restarted it. But anyway, I back then I was trying to make money online as well, and I was doing different things. But when I came back to social media, I noticed like, oh, homesteading's like, oh, way bigger now. Like I didn't know it had grown so much. So um, I was just trying to figure out where I could serve people in
Uh-huh.
the homesteading space. Um, and I just kept posting, and then I had a reel go viral. It was just a silly reel, and but it's interesting what viral does. It brings everyone to you, not
Yep.
necessarily not just people uh, that are interested in what you are talking about. Just sometimes it just brings everyone. So what it
Yep.
did was it brought up a lot of the same questions, which was the first one was what is homesteading, and the second one was how do I get started. So once I realized, oh, well, this is where I need to be helping people. I have 20 years experience, and uh, I can help people with this question.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really how it got started, and I love teaching people. I've homeschooled as well for 25 years. My youngest graduated last year. So I do love teaching. I enjoy that a lot. So coaching just seemed like a really good place for me to go and a really good direction for me to go because I want to see more people homesteading in a way that is healthy for them because a
Yep.
lot of people enter into the space and they get too jump in too fast and they get overwhelmed and there's a lot of people who end up quitting, and I'm trying to prevent that. I'm trying to make it more of, you know, solid set yourself up right, and you
Mm-hmm.
can do it for 20 plus years, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's where. Hold on, I gotta find my mic so I can get a little bit closer to me.
Okay.
It's like the joy. Hey, you're making a giant pottery pot here. By the way, I'm not making weed. I'm making a pot for plants.
Oh,
Not for
yay.
you to put your weed in, by the way. Just clarifying here, everybody. And I always get myself in trouble every single time I
Yeah.
rub my shoulders.
Yeah, I bet they it picks up that word and
Like,
and like
hey,
yeah.
that's not a good word. No.
Yeah, that's
uh,
funny.
let's get back on topic. Okay, so I mean, and this is kind of why I kind of I reached out to you to do help me on my show, but as I started learning more about you, I was like, she could be a really good advocate and a coach for me to start really thinking through some of my challenges that I'm gonna face as a blind person, and kind of what that looks like and how that kind of comes together. And I'm like, that could be interesting. So, but as we keep going forward here, I want to kind of talk about how. So, when you first started your homestead, because I think this is something that people need to understand. A lot of the challenges that you're going to face that you need to work out are going to be a bunch of challenges. So, what were some of the early years, some of the biggest challenges that you face when you went
Okay.
into homesteading?
I think it was and I didn't realize this until much later that I thought I had to do in order to be a homesteader, in order to be a legitimate homesteader, I had to do all of the things. Like I had to, you know, bake my own bread. I had to have my own garden. I had to have my own every single animal that we ate in our home had to come from our property, our 2.25 acre property.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I just kept adding things and adding things to
Yeah.
my homestead.
Well, stay tuned because we're going to learn how Mona continues to add things to her homestead and really learn the proper balance for her homestead. So, see you on the other side. Have you ever wondered, without your vision, how you would cross the street? I am the deaf blind potter. I've been hit by a car 3 times in my life. It's said that 87 million people in this world will have the same experience as I have. But I started working on a solution to help solve this problem of blind individuals from getting hit by a car. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a solution that allows you to see me from 100 yards away. It's called the See Me cane, the lighted blind cane. The See Me cane is simple to use. It has an on and off button, a vibration button that tells you that the light is on or off, and it has magnetic charging on the top. And it feels just like a normal blind cane. I need your help to donate to the See Me cane, so that way those that are visually impaired can get a See Me cane and live beyond their challenges. Go to seemecane.com to donate today. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges. Hey, 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 hey. It's the bottom of the hour. I'm so excited that you are here at the Deaf Blind Potter Show. My name is Kevin Crosby, also known as the Deaf Blind Potter. And I'm so excited that you are here. And you're probably wondering, because we're at the bottom of the hour, that means that I've been working on a pottery piece during this whole show today. And you're probably wondering where we at. Okay, so let me explain what I've done. I have gone a little crazy with this piece over the last segment. Went from just a centered piece to this kind of out of control, really tall pot. Not a pot. Not pot like we. We're not just clarifying here, everybody. Okay, but um and this would be like a really good pot to put. If you wanted to pot your own corn, you could pot your corn in here, and then once it matured, you can put it into more warmer climates when weather gets better, and you could use this type of pot because it's nice and tight and small and helps you grow your corn. Anyways, I mean, you guys all are in Colorado, you guys know all about corn, but this is from a homesteading point. You could use this pot to make your corn. So anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at. This is about a foot and a half high and probably 8 inches wide. Yeah, because the wheel's 12 inches wide and I only got 2 inches left. So yeah, we're that's about right. So anyway, so I got Mona here, my homesteading coach. Yeah, I said that right. I have a coach that's helping me learn homesteading. Why? Because if I want to support my family, I need to learn how to do that. And there's no better than bringing on a coach to help you do that. And that's what Mona's been doing for me. But today we're focusing on her because she had a very interesting story in how she became into homesteading and some of the challenges that she faced. And we're gonna dive right back into her part of where some of the serious challenges that she faced in the homesteading journey in the early years for her. So, Mona, can you kind of pick us up from on that?
Yeah, so I was, by the way, the piece is beautiful and I would put herbs in it.
You put okay,
That would
okay.
make it a herbs of some sort, like I was just looking at it and thinking it looks beautiful. Um, yeah, so my story, like I thought I had to do all of the things. I had to, have everything in order to be like this legitimate homesteader. But then I realized a few years in after becoming completely overwhelmed and I kept adding things like there was once wanted to raise mealworms for my chickens. And I got into it and I was getting into it and I realized, what am I doing? Why do I have to be, why should I be raising mealworms? It's just another thing I have to do. I can just buy them. It was, they didn't even grow very fast or, breed very fast. They weren't expanding. And it was almost like I was just throwing a handful every couple of months out to the chickens. So it was not worth it. But it was just that mindset shift. Like, I don't need to do all the things. I need to take, the things that I'm most passionate about and make those the things that I want to do, and then use the homesteading community to fill in those other areas. Like if I wanted grass-fed beef, who in my community can provide that beef for me
Mhm.
and I can trade with or buy from? Like it doesn't have to be me, not that it even could have, but I did consider it getting a steer to raise on our property, on our 2 and a quarter acre property. And I was like, I'm so glad we never went that way because I would have, hay is expensive and we would have had to, feed it hay. So it would have been just a very expensive
Yeah.
project.
Well, I mean, and this is something that you kind of explained to me was community at a homestead is a lot more efficient than this piece feels so good in my hands. It's like, oh, I'm
Looks
having so
nice.
much fun with this. Sorry, I got off track here. But but yeah, so community is such a big deal in homesteading. And I found that when you kind of were coaching me through that process, it's like, Kelvin, you need to think about what are you good at that you can do over and over and over again, and then that way you can get the thing that you don't have for your homestead, and you can either barter for it, trade for it, or something like that. And I'm like, that's an interesting way to go through it, and that's another way for me to live beyond that challenge. And can you spend some time here talking about what you see the value in community in regards to a homestead?
Yeah, so I just think we're not designed to be alone. Like
Mhm.
we're just not designed to be alone. And I know a lot of people want to get into homesteading and get away from the rat race. They want to get away from the hustle and bustle and people are driving them crazy and they just want to be alone. But I've never really known that working out well for a long period of time. Somehow you need to have other people. And not only is it just better for you mentally, but it's also better for you safety wise. What if
Mhm.
something were to happen and you don't have anybody to back you up and help you? You don't have any neighbors or any close people that can help you. Some examples of my journey where community really came into play was just the education, learning from other people who had through things before me. Also, when I did have an emergency, we had goat births. I raised um, dairy goats, and every time there was a group of us that would go to each other's house when the goats were ready to give birth so that we were there as a support and
Mhm.
that sort of thing, and I needed those people. I actually had an emergency where one of my goats got into something and she was like a grain, like goats will eat themselves to death, so she got into some grain, she got bloat and she got really sick, and anyway she ended up dying. And I was like, the thing I did first was like hug my friend and neighbor who got me into the goats because I was so sad about the situation, but she understood. It's like you have people that understand you and they know where you're coming from and they know how to help you when you need that help. So, you
Mhm.
know, community is just so important for so many reasons. And like I mentioned before, just to be able to trade with people. The part that becomes difficult, and I get it, sometimes people are difficult. Um, I just think we can work on our own being better humans to help other people be better humans,
Yep. Yep.
be understanding and be forgiving and that sort of thing.
And sorry, I'm trying to put the rings into the piece.
Oh, so,
I don't know if I've ever talked about this on this show. What does three rings mean on the Deafblind Potter pieces? Um,
oh,
it means that the first ring means joy, because when we suffer through life and challenges in life, we gotta find joy in that. Because once we find joy, then we are able to persevere, which is the third ring, or second ring on the all my pieces, and then the third ring is the character that you build because you persevered, and the piece itself, when you have it in your hands, is your hope. So stay tuned, because when we come back, we're gonna dive in a little bit more about Mona and her living beyond her challenges, homesteading. Stay tuned. See you on the other side. Hey there, this is Calvin here, and I want to tell you about deafblindpotter.com. Well, what are you going to get there when you arrive? You're going to see me, and you're also going to have the experience of all the pottery behind me, the pottery that's in the kiln, all of those experiences where you're going to see mugs, you're going to see heart bowls, you're going to see vases, you're going to see pots, you're going to see bowls, and you can go ahead and purchase it there, and I'm going to get it to you as soon as I can, so that way you can have the experience of feeling the tactile experience of a deaf-blind potter piece. Did you know those three rings on every piece of mine? The first ring represents joy. The second ring represents the perseverance that you're going to have to face in your life. And third is the character that you have to build when you find joy in your pain. And the whole piece is your hope to keep moving forward. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, because that's exactly what I want you to do when you have the tactile experience, when you feel a deaf-blind potter piece. So go to deafblindpotter.com and get your deaf-blind potter pieces today. And while you're there, if you want a shirt, hat, or hoodie, you can also get Deafblind Potter merch there as well. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you just in a second. Hey, it's Calvin here, the Deafblind Potter, and you're here at the Deafblind Potter Show. And I got Mona here. And Mona, if sorry, I'm just burping everywhere. I'm like, I'm not sure why we're burping here, people. I mean, lunch was just a little bit ago, but I mean, I feel like I'm drinking enough. Who knows? I'm just having challenges today. Hey, let's live beyond them, right? Anyway.
exactly.
Oh boy. All right. So Mona, if people want to get a hold of you to have them, you be their coach or provide some assistance, and also, what are some resources that you currently have available for people to um, learn about homesteading?
Yeah, I have a few resources, but I first want to just touch real quick on like if your listeners are thinking like I don't know how to get started. Remember or remember, I haven't even told you yet, but homesteading in my mind starts in your mind, like your mindset. And I
Hmm.
just did a podcasting episode about this, like the homesteader mindset and some of the character traits. One of them is resilience. Kelvin, resilience is a homesteading character trait that I think you have like tenfold. And there's just know that homesteading is a lot about mindset, and you can
Yeah.
start in the city, you can start in your apartment, you can start learning this mindset before you even get property or never get property. If you just want to learn skills, homesteading skills that allow you to be more self-sufficient and sustainable, that is completely fine as well. So I one of the things I did after my reel went viral so many years ago is I ended up making a checklist because I wanted people to be prepared, and I wanted them to be able to establish a solid foundation for their journey. So I created a checklist called the Homesteading for Beginners checklist, and
Hmm.
that's free. to anybody. You can get it at healthyhomesteading.com/checklist. And I also have a podcast that is called Homesteading for Beginners. I'm not really everything. A lot of my things are called Homesteading for Beginners, except my
Okay.
website. But yeah, the Homesteading for Beginners podcast is really where I help people, have this different view on homesteading. Not It's not just about raising your own food. It's much more than that, although that is the biggest perk probably, but there's so much more to homesteading than just raising your own food. And so I highly recommend you listen to that if you are a podcast listener, and you can listen to that on Apple or Spotify.
And
Oh,
I'll put that all in the description, so all that stuff for you guys, so that way you guys don't have to go looking for it all. But all that stuff will be there, the podcast and the YouTube channel. I really like your YouTube channel.
oh,
Um,
really? Yeah.
so and you have
Thanks.
different videos and so forth, and so yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, when I learned about you, I was like, this lady knows what she's talking about. And I'm like some of those new homesteaders that have only been on doing it like for a year, and then they're going viral because they're talking about their challenges. I do have a guest coming that will dive into that. Well, no way. I don't remember, but I think I got a guest coming. I have to double check on my list. But anyway, I'm losing my mind, people. I'm losing my
It's okay.
mind.
But you're
Anyway,
making pottery. That's just very impressive to be doing an interview and making pottery. I mean, I think I think you're doing great.
thank you. So Mona, so you we were talking about community, and we're going through this kind of experience on the homesteading world. We're realizing this is such an important thing to live beyond your challenges, homesteading. So, from your perspective, on a scale of 1 to 10, and kind of give us your reasoning behind it as well, on the value level, how important is community to be successful as a homesteader?
Oh, I think it's very close to 10. Um, Actually, it's the first thing on the checklist to seek out your local community and your online community, if because you can do either or both is
Mhm.
best. But it may not be uh 10, but it's very close because I mean you can homestead by yourself on your own little farm out in the wilderness, but how sustainable is that? So homesteading
Mhm.
is one of the other characteristics is that homesteaders are seeking sustainability. And how sustainable is it to be without a community? I mean, when you
Yeah.
really think about it. So that it's not. You have to have you're stronger with other people, you're safer with other people, and you have, if you do it right, you can have a really fun time with other people.
Yep. Yep. Well, and that was the one thing that I kind of seen in kind of in general, all the people that are successful at homesteading, their community is the number one thing that they have. And for me, it's like, all right, I do like my bubble, and I like my little box, but I'm also realizing I can't do it all. So then, am I going to do that? And one of the things I want to kind of talk about is your Facebook group, and I think it's a very unique place. I wish I understood how to work Facebook better, where I could participate more. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Mhm.
But kind of talk about your Facebook group that you guys have that people can join today as well. Like, what was your vision behind that? Under the understanding, like this is the community.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to speak to what you said about the Facebook being difficult. You have opened my eyes to how many things are difficult for a blind audience, and I want to thank you for that because I never thought about how these things might be difficult for you. So just thank you for I mean you're doing it by living, but I just wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah.
Um Also, so my group is actually a specific need in the homesteading space. Homesteaders want to. live uh, on their homestead, work from their homestead, and be,
So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to finish this up and wrap up our show. See you on the other side. Hey there, it's Kelvin here, and I want to hear from you. Are you living beyond a challenge right now, or are you trying to live beyond a challenge? I want to be here for you. I want to walk through this journey with you. I want to encourage you to find joy in the challenge that you're facing and help you persevere by taking that step and building the character that has hope. And by doing that, it's going to change your life. So I need you to email me at contact@deafblindpotter.com and tell me about your challenge. And together, we will live beyond your challenge. I will walk through you with your journey, and possibly you might come on my radio show or my podcast, and we will work through it, and even my fans will help you as well live beyond your challenges. But most of all, we need to work on you first before anything else, so that way you are successful in living beyond your challenges. So that is contact@deafblindpotter.com, and you can email me there, because I'm the only one that checks that email, and it's all confidential. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges, and I'll see you in just a second. Hey, it's so good to see you. And if I can't see you, it's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. I am Calvin Crosby, the Deaf Blind Potter. And this is the last segment of the show. And you're probably wondering, where is the piece today? So we are, I want to say, I'm spinning this thing way too fast. Let's slow that down. We're about a foot and a half, 18, maybe 20 inches. I don't know. Something like that. It's past my tummy. Who knows what that means? Anyway, and it's a pot, and it has the three rings on it, and it's looking great. So to wrap up our show, we're talking about Mona's Facebook group, and so Mona, kind of continue your conversation about this niche Facebook group that you have and why it's so important.
yeah. So by the way, your piece is very beautiful. If you can't see it, it's beautiful. um, so I really wanted to help the homesteading community in one specific area, all other than getting started. And this is part of, actually, this is the same journey. So homesteaders want to work from their homestead. That's usually the reason they start. They eventually want to be there full time, and it's a big pain point. And so I created a group called the Homestead Income Plan group on Facebook, so that I can help coach in that area as well. So starting a homestead income sources that are on homestead, off homestead, and online income sources. So that's what the Facebook group is about. It's very active, and it's growing pretty fast, and I'm just really excited about it because I know I'm helping people in this area.
Yeah. Well, I think it's such an important thing, and like I've done a couple posts on there, um, a- and I think it's really interesting to see people's struggles, and because this is a struggle to homestead, but it's one of those true things where you can truly have joy in doing the struggle. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not easy. You
Yeah.
might have some tears, and you might have some pain, and you might have some difficulty, and you might have some really bad weather that destroys everything, and you're asking God, why did you do this to me?
Mhm.
But you come back to the moment, and you're like, thank you. The joy. The joy of that pain that you're dealing with. And then you take a moment, and then you get off. your couch, your chair. And sometimes I just think on your rocking chair on your porch. Who knows?
Mhm.
And you get up and you take the first step. That is truly what homesteading really is all about. Is taking the next step to keep persevering through your challenges. See, I want to thank Mona for being on today's show, and I'm gonna probably bring you back for my Mother's Day show next month, and we're gonna talk about homesteading as parents and how do you homeschool and all that. So we'll see her next month as well. Like I always say, go live beyond your challenges. And I'll see you next week. That wraps up the Deaf Blind Potter Show. Thanks for joining me and share this video and encourage somebody to live beyond their challenges so that way we all can persevere through the struggles of life and overcome the challenges and have hope to live beyond our challenges. I'll see you next time.